It was just another busy afternoon in the city. Officer Daniels stood on the sidewalk, directing traffic and helping people cross the street. He had done this job for over 10 years. He was known as a serious, no-nonsense cop who always followed the rules. But behind his tough face, Daniels was a man with a quiet, lonely heart. As he was helping an old lady across the road, a small voice called out from the crowd, "Dad?" Daniels froze. He turned around slowly, confused. A little black boy, around 8 years old, ran toward him. He had wide brown eyes, curly hair, and a big smile on his face. Before Daniels could say anything, the boy threw his arms around his waist and hugged him tightly. "Dad, I found you." The street suddenly became quiet. People stared. Some took out their phones. Daniels looked down at the child, completely shocked. I think you're mistaken, kid," Daniels said softly, gently pushing the boy back. "No, I know it's you. Mom showed me your picture," the boy said with excitement. Daniels blinked. "What's your name?" "Malik," the boy answered. "Malik Thomas. You're my dad. You used to know my mom." Daniels couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Where is your mom now?" "She's home. She's sick. But she told me, if I ever got lost, I should find you." A small crowd had gathered. A woman whispered, "Is that really his son?" Another man shook his head. "Cops always hide things." Daniels felt his heart race. He looked at Malik's innocent face, full of trust and love. Something inside him stirred. He didn't recognize the boy. But the name Thomas, it did sound familiar. "All right," Daniels said carefully. "Let's go to the station. We'll figure this out, okay?" Malik smiled and nodded, still holding his hand tightly. At the police station, Daniels sat with Malik in a quiet room. He gave him water and a sandwich. "Can you tell me more about your mom?" Daniels asked. Malik pulled a small, worn photo from his pocket and handed it to him. Daniels' hands shook slightly as he took it. In the photo, he saw a younger version of himself, with his arm around a beautiful woman. She had soft eyes and a gentle smile. He remembered her now. Her name was Sasha. They had met over 8 years ago, a short relationship, and then she disappeared from his life. "You said she's sick?" Daniels asked. Malik nodded, his eyes growing sad. "She's in bed most of the time now. She told me, 'You were a good man.' She said, 'Maybe you would help.'" Daniels stood up and walked out of the room for a moment. His mind was spinning. Was it possible? Could this boy really be his son? He returned with another officer, a kind woman named Officer Maria. "Maria, can you contact Child Services? We need to check on the mother." Maria nodded and left the room. Daniels looked at Malik again. "Did your mom ever tell you why she didn't tell me about you before?" Malik shrugged. "She said you had a busy life, and she didn't want to disturb you." Daniels sighed deeply. His eyes were stuck on the photo. So many years, so many questions. Just then, Maria returned. "We called the address the boy gave." The mother answered. "She's very weak, but confirmed the story. She said you are Malik's father, Daniels." The room went silent. Daniels sat down, staring at the boy. He had no words, no answers. Only one thought kept echoing in his heart. What if this is true? Officer Daniels couldn't sleep that night. He kept walking back and forth in the small living room, while Malik lay on the couch, fast asleep, holding a stuffed lion close to his chest. The quiet breathing of the boy was the only sound in the room, but Daniel's mind was loud with questions. Is he really mine? Did Sasha keep him from me on purpose, or was she scared? Daniel sat down at the edge of the couch and looked at the boy again. Malik had his mother's eyes, the same soft brown that made you stop and listen. He whispered, "You sure came with a storm, little man." The next morning, Daniels made breakfast, eggs and toast. Malik smiled when he saw it. "You make good eggs," he said happily. Daniels chuckled. "Thanks." Haven't made them for anyone in a long time. After breakfast, Daniels took Malik to the hospital to visit Sasha. She was in a small, quiet room, lying in bed with an oxygen mask. Her face looked pale, tired, and thin. But when she saw Daniels walk in, with Malik holding his hand, her eyes filled with tears. "You came," she said weakly. Daniels pulled up a chair beside her. "You should have told me." "I wanted to," Sasha whispered, "but I didn't want to ruin your life. You were building a future. You had dreams. I thought we'd only slow you down." Daniel's voice cracked. "You kept my son from me, Sasha." She looked down in shame. "I know, and I'm sorry. I was scared. I didn't know how you'd react." He sat back, trying to hold in his emotions. "You should have let me decide that." Malik stood by the side of the bed, holding his mother's hand. "Mom said you were a hero," he said softly. "She said, you protect people." Daniels looked at him and nodded. "That's what I try to do. And now, I'll protect you too." Sasha smiled faintly. "That's all I ever wanted." Suddenly, a nurse came in with some test results. Daniels stepped outside to give them privacy, but he could hear their voices through the door. "The cancer is spreading fast," the nurse said. "You should consider who will take care of your son soon." Daniels felt a lump in his throat. It was happening too fast. He had just met this boy. And now, he might become the only family he has left. Back at the police station later that day, word had already spread. Some officers looked at Daniels with curiosity. Others were supportive. "Never thought I'd see you with a kid," Officer Maria said gently. "I didn't either," Daniels replied. The captain called Daniels into his office. "You okay?" Daniels nodded. "I think I'm gonna apply for guardianship, if Sasha agrees." The captain leaned back. "That's a big step." Daniels sighed. "He's mine. I can feel it. I need to do what's right." Just then, his phone buzzed. It was Malik. The text read, "Mom said she wants to talk to you tonight. She said it's important." Daniels rushed back to the hospital. Sasha was sitting up, waiting for him. "I don't have much time," she said. "But I need to ask you something." "Anything," Daniels replied. "Promise me," Sasha said with a weak voice, "that you won't just raise Malik like a duty. Don't be a cop to him. Be a father." Daniels took her hand. "I promise." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "And when I'm gone," she whispered, "tell him I loved him more than anything." Malik didn't speak much after his mother's death. He sat quietly in the back seat of Officer Daniels' car, holding his backpack and the little stuffed lion. His face was blank, his eyes tired. Daniels watched him through the mirror as he drove to his small apartment. Neither of them was ready for this new life. Daniels had never been a father. He was used to silence, coffee, crime reports, and cold streets. Now he had to figure out how to raise a grieving 9-year-old boy who barely knew him. When they reached home, Malik walked in slowly, looking around. The apartment was neat, but not made for a child. There were no toys, no colors, no signs of family. "You can sleep in the guest room," Daniel said. "It's small, but I'll fix it up." Malik nodded, then walked into the room quietly. He placed the lion on the bed and sat down, staring at the wall. Daniel stood at the doorway, unsure what to say. "Do you want something to eat?" Malik shook his head. Daniel sighed. "All right. Let me know if you need anything." The next few days were awkward. Daniels would make breakfast, but Malik would barely eat. Daniels tried to talk, but Malik kept answers short. "What's your favorite subject?" "Math." "You like music?" "Sometimes." "You okay?" A small shrug. Daniels felt helpless. At work, he was in control. He gave orders, solved problems, dealt with chaos. But at home, this small, silent boy made him feel lost. One night, Daniels found Malik. The morning was quiet. Malik was in his room, carefully lining up his toy cars. It was one of the few mornings he had smiled. But Daniels couldn't focus. His eyes kept going back to the envelope on the table, the one from Sasha's lawyer. He had promised Malik a trip to the park. But he had to know the truth first. Daniels parked outside the law office and walked in with heavy steps. His heart beat faster as he sat down across from the lawyer, an older woman named Ms. Green. Her eyes were kind but serious. "Thank you for coming, Officer Daniels," she said. "What's this about?" Daniels asked. "Why now?" She slid a folder across the table. "Sasha had this prepared before she passed. She asked us to give it to you only if something ever happened to her." Daniels opened the folder slowly. Inside was a handwritten letter from Sasha. "Dear Jake, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and you're taking care of Malik. First, thank you. I knew I could trust you, but there's something you don't know. Malik isn't just my son. He's your son too." Daniels froze. He read the line again. His hands trembled. "She told me she had a child with someone else," he whispered. Ms. Green shook her head. "She lied to protect you both. You two were young. She didn't want to trap you or bring chaos into your life. But after seeing how you cared for Malik, she wanted you to know the truth." Daniels sat in silence. His chest felt heavy, his mind spinning. He had thought he was just doing what was right. But now, this boy, this quiet little soul was his blood, his son. Driving home felt like a dream. He watched the trees pass by, people walking, children laughing. Everything felt different now. Realer, deeper. When he opened the door, Malik ran up to him with a drawing in his hand. "Look, I made us." Daniels took the picture. It showed a stick-figure man and a smaller boy holding hands, both smiling under a sun. He knelt down and hugged Malik tightly. The boy looked confused. "Did something happen?" he asked. Daniels wiped a tear from his eye. "I just realized how lucky I am." That evening, Daniels sat with Malik on the couch. "Can I tell you something important?" he asked. Malik nodded. Daniels took a deep breath. "I didn't know this before, but I found out today. You're not just my son because I chose you. You're my son because you were always mine." Malik's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes. I'm your real dad, Malik. Your mom just never told me." Malik sat still. Then suddenly, he burst into tears. But they weren't sad tears. They were full of relief, full of love. "I knew it," he whispered. "I just knew it." The next few days were full of healing. Daniels and Malik started doing more together. Cooking, playing, laughing, talking. Daniels put Malik's picture on the fridge. He hung new curtains in Malik's room. They built a bookshelf together. Malik even started calling him Dad, with pride. But just when things were starting to feel peaceful, something unexpected happened. One rainy afternoon, Daniels got a call from the station. "There's someone here asking about you," the officer said. "Who?" "She says she's Malik's grandmother." Daniels felt a chill down his spine. He didn't know anything about Sasha's family. She had always said they were gone or didn't care. But now, a new person had entered the picture, and she wanted to see her grandson. The air was heavy inside the police station. Officer Daniels stood face to face with the woman who claimed to be Malik's grandmother. Her name was Mrs. Whittaker, and her face held a cold kind of strength. "I'm here for my grandson," she said without emotion. "He doesn't belong with a stranger." Daniel's jaw clenched. He had heard those words before, from strangers, from lawyers, from people who didn't know the truth. "I'm not a stranger," he said calmly. "I'm his father." Her eyes narrowed. "Sasha never mentioned you. She always said she was raising the child alone." Daniels took a deep breath. "She lied to protect him, to protect me. But I have a letter from her. She made it clear, I'm Malik's biological father." A tense silence filled the room. Mrs. Whittaker sat down slowly, her face softening for the first time. "I lost touch with Sasha after she ran away. I wasn't the best mother, but I didn't know she had a son. If I had known, you would have taken him? Daniels asked. No, she admitted. I don't know what I would have done, but I know I want to be in his life now. Later that evening, Daniels sat with Malik in the living room. He told him about the woman who had come to the station. Malik listened quietly. Do I have to go with her? He asked, his voice trembling. Daniels shook his head. No one's taking you from me, son, but I do think you should meet her, if you want to. Malik stayed silent for a moment, then nodded. Okay, but only if you come too. Daniels smiled. Of course. The meeting was set for the weekend. Mrs. Whittaker brought a small photo album with her. It was filled with pictures of Sasha as a child, smiling, playing, growing. Malik's eyes lit up. That's Mommy. Yes, she said softly. She was just like you. Brave, kind, full of dreams. For the first time, Daniel saw something different in the older woman. Not just pride, but regret. Maybe she wasn't there for her daughter, but maybe, just maybe, she could be there for her grandson. In the days that followed, Daniels watched something beautiful unfold. Mrs. Whittaker began visiting regularly. She brought Malik books, helped him with homework, even told stories about Sasha's childhood. It wasn't perfect, but it was healing. Still, one question remained. Would she try to take custody? Daniels feared the worst, until the letter arrived. It was from Mrs. Whittaker. Inside was a single page. Jake, you are the father Malik deserves. You gave him love when he needed it most. I see now what Sasha saw in you. I will never try to take him from you. I only ask that you let me stay in his life, even just a little. Thank you for giving me a second chance to love my daughter's child. Asterisk, Elizabeth Whittaker. Daniels felt tears in his eyes, not out of sadness, but out of relief and peace. Months passed. Daniels officially adopted Malik, putting his name on the birth certificate. The precinct threw a small celebration. Officers brought cake. Malik wore a little suit, and for the first time, in a long time, he felt like he truly belonged. Can I say something? Malik asked during the celebration. Everyone turned to him. He stood on a chair, nervous but brave. Thank you for not giving up on me. My mom would be proud. And I know, I'm proud to call him my dad. He pointed at Daniels. The room clapped. Some wiped away tears. Even the toughest cops in the precinct felt their hearts melt. Final scene, with emotional impact and closure. That night, Daniels tucked Malik into bed. Dad? The boy whispered. Yes, buddy. Even if I didn't know before, I think I always felt it. You were always my dad. Daniels smiled, kissed his forehead, and whispered back. And you were always my son. As the boy closed his eyes and drifted into sleep, Daniels sat beside him silently, looking at the child he once thought was a stranger. Now the most important part of his life. Because family isn't just blood. It's love, loyalty, and never letting go.